talk about what's streaming on Netflix right now. And in today's episode, we are talking about Netflix's newest original action-adventure comedy sci-fi, Rim of the World. Now, the only reason why I checked this out at all was for, I guess in my inside joke circle situation with my boyfriend, Lil Peanut. Are you guys familiar with Lil Peanut? If not, let me tell you all about him, because he's in this movie. His professional name, his actor name is Benjamin Flores Jr., but he was at one time known as Lil Peanut. Okay, so a really long time ago, when my boyfriend and I kind of were like first dating, he one time was like, he did jokingly sang this song out of nowhere, and he went, "You may be the one for me," and he sang that out of nowhere, and he would point to me on you, and then he would hold up an index finger for 1, and then for 4, he would make the 4 symbol with the tucked in thumb, and then he would say me, and he'd point to himself. So he did this in one kind of like smooth gesticulation action, and I was literally like, "Babe, what the fuck was that?" And he would do it all the time, and he was like, "Lil Peanut," and I kept being like, "Stop saying," he used to do this all the time. I used to be like, "Stop saying this like it's a thing." Like I know what that means. So he goes out of his way and he shows it to me. And Lil Peanut at the time was a little, I think this was like an older video too, so it had been out for like a couple years or something like that, I can't remember. But there was a little rapper. He was 4 years old, and his name was Lil Peanut, and that was his song. And you gotta look it up. It's the funniest fucking thing ever. It's so cute. His little rap lyrics are about school and principals and stuff like that. And he would have grown men, like, being featured on these albums, like, trying to be serious when they're rapping. And I'm just like, you do you. You do your gig, dude. And anyways, the point is, he had his little brief singing career, and he's gone on to be on, like, I think he's been on, like, Nickelodeon or something, or Disney. I think he's gone on to, like, be a little actor and other stuff. So, like, good for him. He's living his life. So whenever I, like, once in a while will see something, I'm like, oh, I gotta see what Lil Peanut's up to. I gotta know. So Lil Peanut's in this. He unfortunately plays a douchebag, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It's all good. I thought he did an okay job. Anyways. So, Rim of the World. Let's get into quickie synopsis. 4 misfit teens join forces to save the world when an alien invasion interrupts their summer camp. Okay, quick reminder, do not forget to subscribe, tell a friend, consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. But either way, let's get into this gig. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is set up the kind of tone of this movie, because it's fucking weird. It's so weird. The idea is simple enough, but what's going on is weird. So, like, we have moments where they're trying to capture some sort of feeling, like, one of the main protagonists, Alex, has gone through trauma when he's a kid, and at the very end, he's supposed to have this, like, powering speech of keeping promises and stuff, but it just feels so forced and corny. Then we have moments where I don't know if they were trying to capture, and this is just a guess, this is just a vibe I get, but I feel like they were trying to capture the comedy of that movie. I think it's called Heavyweights, potentially. It's so funny and good. You should watch it. It's called, it's with Ben Stiller, and it's basically, I think they're like, are they still called fat camps? I feel like that's politically incorrect, but like, whatever. It's for heavier weight kids to lose weight, and he is kind of like very offensive and mean and calls them names, and he's like a psycho, and they end up taking over the camp. It's actually really good. But the point is, this was during a time in comedy where it would be, very politically incorrect, and they would make offensive jokes and somehow get it to work and get everyone to laugh and be like, see, we're touching crazy, we're talking about things we shouldn't do. And I feel like some people still try to pull that off and honestly just come up straight up ignorant or dumb or offensive and stuff like that. So it feels weird that they're trying to have, clearly, like, by the dialogue and kind of the cutesy moments, almost like a kid-like atmosphere, like some kids are supposed to be watching this Disney channels. But then they're making these really offensive, not funny jokes, especially by, oh my god, get this, a lot of the people who are, like, the campers are, like, ex-Viners. And to be clear, I need to make this perfectly fucking clear. I don't have a problem if your gig was you were once an ex-Viner and somehow you became a movie star or something like that. Good fucking for you. I have no problem. Live. You should not be pinholed into one career situation. Whatever opportunity presents itself, no shame. But let's just say some of these Viners that popped up, I wasn't particularly excited about seeing them, and I already was like, oh no, this is the tone of the film, isn't it? So it was weird to have these like jokes that I'm sure parents would not be down with their kids watching, with kind of the more kidsy like type of bad writing that I think adults would find boring to watch. And then amongst all of this, the aliens, which were really sick designs, by the way. I actually really like the way the aliens work and did. Were so violent. Holy fucking shit. It was so violent. I loved it. I was like, shit, we're going there. And it was pretty fucking intensely, like that. But again, it doesn't really work with everything else they're trying to do. So I was very confused by its vibes. But I would almost consider this movie trying to be a mix of the Heavyweights movie I was just referring to and the movie I covered a couple episodes ago, Evolution, where it's a little bit violent and offhanded with his humor and stuff like that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I sat through this movie though, so I'm going to tell you the general gist of what happens. So we start off with our main character, Alex, played by Jack Gore, and he's supposed to be a nerdy kid who's somehow financially impossibly able to have 20 fucking monitors to watch TV all at once, like the devil from the Witches of Eastwick. And he's smart, and he's nerdy, and he suffered some sort of trauma in his past life with his dad being gone. Clearly was associated with some sort of fire. That's what we initially get. We also get introduced to the other characters. Xian Xian, who was played by Miya Cech. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. Miya Cech doesn't really talk. She seems like she's independent. She's somehow left home. She kind of honestly comes off initially like a dick for no reason. I didn't think that it came off as someone who's like, oh, she's silent, but you had to earn her respect and get to know her. When you get to know her as a character, you understand she's supposed to be kind of like a little capable badass, but she's also really kind and smart and all these other really wonderful traits. So her being silent for so long and so rude, I couldn't help but be like, she just seems like a dick. Why did you write her like a dick? It didn't work for me initially. Whatever, that was her gimmick initially. Just to her to be like, oh my god, she can speak and she can speak English, da da da. And then we have Benjamin Flores Jr., Lil Peanut, playing Darush, I'm gonna call him. He looks very wealthy. He's very privileged life. He's got a butler, all this shit like that. His dad owns a car dealership, all that jazz. And then we have Alessio Scalzotto. I hope I say that name correctly. Playing by Gabriel, and Gabriel's kind of like you don't really know a lot about his background, but he seems like a good guy, but a bit of a rebel, you know what I mean? He actually, honestly, out of all the kids, was the best. He gave me the most in humor, when he was being sensitive and sweet. As like a character, I really liked him. I liked him probably the best out of a lot of the characters. He kind of sold me the most on them. Okay, so we start off with Alex. He's a smart little kid, but because of his trauma, he doesn't really connect with anybody, and his mom desperately wants him to move on and develop friends. And she's kind of clueless, and also this is one of those situations where, like, impossible things are happening. This is where, like, the Disney kids element is, where, like, somehow this kid has the money for all these monitors and the catchphrases of the camp counselors and stuff like that. And so they go to this camp, and he does try to talk to people. He tries to talk to Xian Xian in Mandarin, so he clearly is very, ahead of his peers in intellect, and she just won't have it. And he is just feeling out of bounds. His camp counselors seem pretty nice and trying to get him involved with different things, and we get little moments where they're just having little funny bits between each other that I see what they were doing there, and there is some sort of promise, but because the jokes were genuinely not funny, they rarely, once in a blue moon they got me, where like I remember one time, I'm just gonna call him Little Peanut's character. Little Peanut's character was, he's like, it's gonna be like 7-Eleven all over again, when he's trying to refer to 9/11, which that genuinely made me laugh. But most of the time it doesn't work. So they're at this camp, and for whatever reason, Alex becomes drawn to Xian Xian and wants to follow her off into this mountain. She goes to the specific part of this mountain to recreate this pamphlet, And she's got her own little goal and vibe going on. I don't think she really even gives a shit about the camp. And while she goes up there and Alex is following her, he's just someone who wants to follow. He's not really able to make his own decisions at this point. And Darush kind of shows up out of nowhere and starts bullying him unkindly. He's someone who likes to be very compensating with his power. And even then, it still felt weird because when we got to know him as like a person, he didn't seem to me like a bully. Maybe like one offhanded, unkind jokes type of person. But for him to like literally hold Alex over a cliff and potentially throw him off felt fucked up and like weird. Again, this is where I'm talking about everything was weird and off things. And the way they basically get all together is Gabriel, before Zen, which I think she would have popped up in a second and been like, bitch, and like, you know, kicked him in the face or something before she could even do anything to help Alex. Gabriel, kind of an unnamed camper who kind of is like goes along with everything, stops the fight, punches him in the face, is like, don't pick on him. It just does a good deed, which is really nice. And they kind of immediately develop this really sweet friendship between all of them, but especially you can feel between Gabriel and Alex. And honestly, they had like some of the best connections in the film, which is really cute. So, going on, they are at this camp, and you're sucked into this little camp plot line, and this was a good creative decision of them. Out of fucking nowhere, there's just an alien attack for no reason. Just out of goddamn nowhere. We get little hints of that when we see the camp counselors watching something on TV. We get little hints of it, of places being stopped already. But it kind of all takes off, and from the distance, these kids watch these U.S. air jets being attacked by alien spaceships, and a bunch of crashing and stuff happens. Now, this is where they were really creative with their budget and how to do things, because they needed to figure out a way where they could spend most of their income on the alien itself. Now, keep in mind, the CGI is off quite a bit. Like, you are very fully aware this is a CGI alien, but the physical way it moves and its design was great. And that still had to be somewhat expensive. And to get as many scenes as they got with this alien, and you get a lot of scenes with him, which is really great, they needed to limit it to like one alien, kind of cut out all the other humans on Earth. I mean, they could not afford all these actors and the CGI. That's the main thing to be done here. I thought it was still creative the way they went about tackling that financial problem. And I'm going to get into that in 1 second. So, aliens attack the camp. Everyone basically gets, like, killed off and everything like that. And the kids are trying to make sense of what the fuck's going on. And they're trying to run from this alien that's trying to hunt them down. A smaller kind of Demogorgon dog comes from the alien's back and tries to chase them. They have this kind of recreation of the Jurassic Park kitchen scene where the kids are dodging this dog alien creature thing. And amidst all of this, randomly, this astronaut who we see in the very beginning of the film crashes down, somehow survives that crashing, may I add. I don't know if you know this fun fact, but astronauts always crash in the ocean. And then they are usually so physically limp from being in space for that long that they have to be kind of like carried out by other people. It's like a whole feat to get back into from to Earth and actually live through that shit and be okay. And so she somehow lives and gives them this USB drive, we'll call it. And it's got this special information that's going to help stop the aliens. And somehow she has it, she's got the special information, and they gotta get this specifically to this headquarters of NASA, which is about 70 miles away. Because everyone else is dead and there's no one else that can really help them, they're like, oh, they start to kind of bargain with themselves and being like, okay, we'll go to the police station. Then at one point when they have some shit go down at the police station that doesn't work out well, they're like, well, we'll run over to where this army base is, and they think the army base can help them, but then a bombing happens there with the aliens, and they still have to move forward, which is kind of comedic in a weird, dark way. So in the end, they keep negotiating with themselves before they eventually are able to make the 70-mile journey and get to where the NASA station is to deliver this USB drive that's going to save them. All the while, the aliens chasing them. So with all the humans missing as well as aliens, it feels like the kids are kind of always walking into something that's like they just missed the wake of the battle. And I felt it added to the aliens' horror or like vibe or sinisterness when you don't see any fucking humans. Because the small bit of human interaction we see the kids witness the alien, the one big giant, like, he looked like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Scorpion King from The Mummy. I think it's like 4 or something like that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but he looked like that. He had 6 arms and he walked like a little creepy scorpion alien creature. When we saw that alien interact with some of the humans, it was brutal how he would murder them, stick his long fingers in their mouth, and rip out their spines and kill them. You get this vibe whenever you go somewhere and there are no humans left, that all the aliens fucking took them. Like, it is gone. City's wiped. It is like next level scary. There's not even blood to be found type of thing. And some people might see that as poor film shooting or set design. And I felt that it only added to the horror of the aliens, especially when not only does it add to the myth of it all, but when you see this alien do such violent acts to people, ripping an arm through someone's stomach, pulling their skull through their ass, you know what I mean? Like some pretty violent shit. You start to think, oh wow, the myth really adds, or really lives up to it. Or the alien really lives up to the myth of it, is what I'm trying to say. So loved all the alien violence. Totally win-win-win for me. So like I said, these kids have a couple encounters that are really, dark as hell and kind of interesting. These poor innocent kids go to the police station hoping someone will be there to save them. Unfortunately, this isn't the case, but there is one person who is in jail. And it majorly gave me fucking inappropriate creep vibes. And it just made me so painfully aware of how sweet and innocent kids are when they decide to ultimately let him go. And they're like, you won't hurt us, right? It got... Like I said, this movie had some weird qualities that were a little too realistically dark in juxtaposition to it feeling like, I think they were trying to go for like a Disney World, Disneyland type of picture. And they end up running into him again. And the worst part is he ends up living up to kind of the sinister vibes they were trying to create around him when he tries to attack this kid for the USB drive he has for money. Weirdly enough, though, these kids end up getting saved by the alien because the alien attacks those creatures. Keep in mind, the alien is kind of like tracking them throughout the movie. It's like he knows they have this USB and he wants it, so to speak, and wants to kill them simultaneously. I don't think he's purely, focused on them because they're humans, you know what I mean? He's got plenty of other humans to kill. And then while they're on their journey, they happen to run into an army, like a group of army men or whatever. And they essentially are like, okay, we were looking for this USB drive. We were looking for this astronaut. You are going to save the day. Thank you so much. We'll take it from here. And the kids are relieved. They're like, good. Because we don't even know if our house is okay or what the situation is or anything. They just kind of end it with this type of vibe of like, yeah, it's all good. We're finally that pain and relief is off of you. No worries. Don't worry. The day's saved. And then immediately aliens bomb and kill all of them. And the kids are like, fuck, we got to take care of this USB thing again. So eventually they do make their way to the plant, whatever it's called. And it's so, this is when we get that kind of like end-all type of ending where we get the alien trying to attack the kids individually. He's been chasing them the whole entire way there. We even see another dog. So we see another alien dog that wasn't a part of the original Alien. And that alien dog died, right? So I'm assuming this new alien dog is a part of another alien creature and somehow that alien creature isn't there, and so they're being attacked by multiple things. They're trying to have to do this all at once. We get this amazing, powerful speech from Alex that even though it's so funny because this is their final ending key to fighting aliens. Basically, the United States at this point has been fucked. And when it seems impossible, they will be able to put this USB key in. These kids are doing it following the command off of a screen of a lieutenant or general. He's like, you know what? I don't think you're capable of this. I want to be like, General, I know these are kids, but this is the fucking world we're talking about under an alien attack. You got no other choice. What are you doing? Thankfully, everything works out. Unfortunately, little Peanut gets cut up, but they successfully make the USB thing drive it through whatever, and they live, woo, woo. We get kind of this over-the-top ending of montage pictures of them playing at a live concert and, like, a mini prom and a bunch of different things like that, and all I could think was, like, aren't your parents dead? I mean, we learn that Alex's mom isn't dead, but we don't really get it answered what happens with the other kids' background stories. Because, okay, so we're going to just have a fun moment and talk about plot holes for a second. Okay, at one point, Alex talks about the fact that these aliens, because it came out, it was like a black slime on the astronauts' vehicle that then became an alien, kind of very Tomb Raider kind of vibe. That would imply that they are able to withstand the heat that comes with entering the Earth, the ozone layer. But somehow the very thing that kills the alien is just that, is fire, is like a jet fuel propulsion thing. So that kind of like kills the whole like consistency of the plot there. Then there's the general idea behind like, okay, so Gabriel's background story is he unfortunately he was trying to help his mother because they were suffering financially and she was at work and she needed to step away from the cash register. And so he was taking care of the cash register. And he doesn't use the name for it in the movie, but he has dyslexia and he struggles with numbers. And it's really cute at the very end when he has to put in the numbers and at the very end to get the USB key to the NASA to work. And he's like, I can't read numbers unless they're written down. Like, I can't hear the numbers and transfer it that way. And Lil Peanut's character writes it down in his blood. Again, like I said, dark as fuck, on a piece of paper. And he's like, I got you, like growing in maturity and being there for his friend. So Gabriel messed up some change. And this caused the gentleman behind the counter to think Gabriel had stolen from him and accused him. And it kind of went 0 to 60. And unfortunately, the kid went to juvie. The mom lost her job. And his mom didn't even come to visit him in juvenile hall, which is so fucking sad. So he's in this sad position where he lied about being a camper because he technically had escaped somehow from juvenile hall. And basically, like, what are they going to do when they find him? And they're like, you kind of ran away from juvenile hall. You are a child with nowhere to go because your mom doesn't want you. And then there's Xian, who just says that her dad wanted a boy. It's kind of very ambiguous, whatever. Just clearly she wasn't wanted by her family. She also doesn't have parents. And then my favorite is Little Peanut's character, hilarious background. We see how rich he is. He comes from a very successful, like, background, history. They even have a butler. But then he says that his dad's car dealership is gone. At first I thought he was implying that the aliens at some point had bombed it and therefore it was gone and he was aware of the money that would be taken away, what he would inherit. But then he later says, like, no, he lost it because he did some negative things and that caused him to lose it, and that he technically isn't rich, and that his dad's even going to go to jail. So this is where it gets like, wait a minute, but you said at one point in the film you're going to inherit the thing, and that seemed genuine, that you would inherit the car dealership. It didn't seem like you were bragging for someone. You were genuinely worried, so you aren't inheriting it technically. And then in addition to that, you are trying to get me to feel bad that you have no money, but do you know how many people in America are not embezzling? We'll put on the list embezzling, but they look like they have a wealthier home, but then they have no money, but then they technically have the house and everything, and they're somehow successfully getting away with just putting everything on credit card. Do you see what I'm saying? It's hard to feel bad for this kid, especially him holding off one of the other main characters on a cliff. It's very fucking dark and weird. But then on the other hand, I did love the cute little ending with Xian and Alex. I liked how she says this whole romantic speech to him in Mandarin, like, if you kiss me now, I'll be yours forever, like I knew from the day one, like I was into you. And it ends with, they don't actually kiss, thank God, because these are like little kids, and it ends with him not really fully knowing Mandarin. Like, he just knew enough to say hi to her in the beginning, and he doesn't technically know what she said. And they just kind of have their cute little friendship and interaction. So ultimately, through impossible odds, they save the world from an alien invasion. The alien is crazy violent. The jokes are very out of context, inappropriate, and it's just a weird movie. It's just a weird fucking movie. It really was not what I had anticipated, and yeah, I mean, you'll have to let me know what you think. I have a Twitter in the link below, but either way, guys, I love you in the most platonic way possible. Have a great day.